Hi everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're going to start a new show and tell video, and it starts right here. We've been to the auction and got a whole bunch of loot. Look at this great big bale spear. I can hardly pick it up. That's pretty cool. Don't know what we'll do with it, but for a couple of bucks I couldn't pass it up. And same thing here for just a couple of bucks. This is brand new. It's a complete sway bar kit for 01 to 07 Caravan or Grand Caravan front sway bar. So you got the sway bar, two end links, bushings, clamps, all the bolts, everything. I got it for just a couple of bucks, and I don't have a van like that, but I showed you before on here how you could take a sway bar for something and kind of bend it and manipulate it and make it fit something else. So we'll just, for what little it costs, we'll fire it on the shelf and it'll get used up for something. This place, when we go down there, they've always got a pile of free loot that you could just rummage through and take whatever you want. So I found this in there, one of these little hand squeezer things. Or I might be able to use it to hold up the handle on my jack. I don't know. It's good for something. And I got a couple of old school telephone receiver cords. Now, the stuff that we bought, I got this, a pair, brand new, gauges for propane tanks. We'll try it and see if they work. Some of this stuff from the land of almost fits is a little bit sketchy, but we'll try them for what I paid. Here we've got a 5/8 reamer. Oh, they've got, look at, they put the sticker over it. There. Very nice. That's one size I didn't have. This here, I'm not going to open it up, but it's a taper jig for a table saw. I'll just put that downstairs. That'll be handy, because usually when I got to cut tapers on the table saw, I do them freehand, and it gets a little wonky. A set of 1/8 Colecos. I got a bunch of 3/16 ones, but I've been looking for some 1/8. This here is a fender spoon, or a fender dolly for doing body work. Handy thing to have. Now, over here we got, these are, I don't know what brand these are, but we call them a popular make of these things is Timbrin. And these are basically a polyurethane overloader spring for your truck. So you take off your factory bump stops for the rear axle, which are generally probably only about this tall, and you put these ones on in their place. So when you get the thing loaded up, it comes down and sits on these, and apparently it gives you some spring, but I don't know about that. Anyway, we got them. Here we've got, cool. Look at this nice pair of shackles. They're pretty neat. I like them. The last thing I got to show you today is a kind of an old school cool thing. I don't know if it'll even work or not, but this is, oh, it comes with instructions. Nicely packed. It's a line lock. An old school brake line lock, so you can, you know, lock your front brakes on and do a burnout, or they call it a hill holder. Anyway, that was cheap, so I grabbed it. And it comes in a nice box with magnets. Here's today's find. A Ford 9-inch rear end. Apparently it's out of a 78 F100 or Bronco. I never really did get the whole story. I have never seen anything so rotten in my life. Look at here, the shock mounts rotted away. There's holes in the backing plates. It'll be fun to get this baby apart. But it's all in one piece. So I'm curious to see what's in there. It was $100, and it wasn't far from home. I'll buy any 9-inch rear end for $100 anytime I find one. That's a bargain. So, two things. Number one, you have a much better chance of finding a track lock in a rear end from a truck than a car. Way more, like a larger percentage of trucks had track lock rear ends in them. We'll see if this one has one in a minute. I have no idea yet. The tag is long gone from it. And the other thing I wanted, I want for screwing around with these 9-inch rear ends. I've been looking for an old housing like this that I can cut up and weld a plate on and put on my engine stand, so I've got like a fixture for working on them. That's something else that I wanted this for. You could tell from the axle pads. Look at the angle. It was look at the way the pinion points up. It was definitely a 4x4. So anyway, we're going to try and knock one of these drums off and then grab an axle and find out if she's a track lock or not. Well, you can see here, I got one drum off and we got the same sad one wheel peel story. Anyway, we can at least figure out what gear it is. So we're going to mark the pinion there. We're going to count how many times that goes around versus how many times this axle goes around. Well, we want the axle to go around once, and we're going to count how many times that goes around. So here we go. There's one, right? And our mark hasn't come around. Okay, now it's nearly around there. So that's back around to the mark. Now I have to figure out, that's about, I don't know, I'll have to see. I'll have to make a calculation. Give me a sec. So that went 1 3/4 times around. So what you do, because we had the other wheel immobilized and we had the differential doing its thing, we double that. So 1 3/4 and 1 3/4 is 3.5. So this is a 350 gear in this thing. It's a 350 one wheel peel, which adds to my collection. That's one I was looking for because I've got 275 or 280. I've got 300. I've got 2 or 3 of those. I've got a couple of 325s, and now I've got a 350. That's fine, but I still don't have a track lock. Oh well, we'll keep looking. But that, for $100, I'll take the 350 center section. No worries at all there. And it's hard to see, but down in there, she's got the big, it's got the big Torino ends on it too. So I might be able to saw the ends off the housing, and somebody might want those, the guys that build rear ends. Although I think you can buy brand new ones for pretty cheap, but whatever, they're there. All that remains to be seen is to pull it out and find out if it's 28 spline or 31. We'll know when we get the first axle out. We've been down this road before where the 1, 2, 3 little things like this will sometimes indicate that it's a 31 spline, but we learned in the, I guess, the last junkyard video that that's not always the case, because we pulled out a pair of axles that looked like this and they were 28. But this being, it was the truck was 4-wheel drive and it had a larger V8 and it had a 351 modified. I'm guessing that this will have a 31 spline center in it, but you never know. This drive shaft here is some kind of next level stuff. Look, I wonder what the heck happened to that. Holy Toledo. Here's some goodies we got from an auction today. Brand new cylinder hone. Says the range is from 2 inches to 7 inches. Brand new. I got it for $14 or something. And here we've got a minor, we call this a minor carburetor kit for a Ford tractor, and a starter switch for a 9N or a 2N. That's pretty cool. But surely we didn't drive all the way down to, where did we go? Jarvis, Ontario, just to pick up these things. Of course not. That'd be dumb. We got us an 8-foot dump insert for our scrap metal trailer, because I'm sick and tired of going up to the scrap metal place and having to hand bomb all the junk out of it. So this here, it's, you know, I got it cheap. It's all beat to hell, but it's good enough for what I'm going to do with it. And a nice one, I was looking at them on Marketplace. They're $2,000. So we'll stick with the economy model here. It's a little banged up here and there, but I don't care. It's got stake pockets in it. We got to bang the front bulkhead of it back out. I might reinforce it with a piece of angle iron. And It needs a little bit of patching back in this corner, and we need to make a new tailgate for it. But you know what? Aside from that, it's just fine. For what we're going to do with it, it'll be excellent. We'll make a more in-depth video about this in the future, getting it prepared, putting it in the trailer, getting everything working properly, etc. I wouldn't mind making a tarp for it too. That'd be pretty good. Here's something you won't see every day around here. This is a Chevrolet engine. It is 2000 up, Gen 4, 4.8. We got it at the auction for 50 bucks. And what I keep stuff like this around here for is any cheap engines I could come across. When I go to the junkyard sometimes and I buy a part, there's a core charge on it. And I might not always have a core if I'm building something or whatever. So like, you know, an exhaust manifold, $7 core charge. Power steering pump, a couple of bucks core charge. Intake manifold, even if you bring them back a plastic one, they don't care. It just says on the menu, intake manifold, core charge, $5. So they get that. Or a whole V8 engine, the core charge is over $100. So, for the 50 bucks that I paid for this thing, it's handy to have. Look at those coil packs. Like, I mean, there's probably a core charge on those too. But yeah, and it's kind of sad really because the thing still turns, but I've never heard it run. I don't know if it's good, bad, indifferent. So unfortunately, its days are numbered. But it can sit here under this tree until we need it. Likewise here, I've got a couple of transmissions for cores too, because same thing. They don't care if I take a gigantic Allison transmission. It just says transmission core. So you take them that back. These are 50 bucks, a transmission core. 50 bucks. So that's how that works. Here's a good one. I got, this is the INT service manual for our old cock shop. Well, it could be a cock shop. In this case, it's an Oliver 550. They're also sold as cock shop 550s, but this one's an Oliver, and we got the right book for it. Thank goodness. So we can answer any questions we have. And then this is a lesson in being careful with auctions. We had an auction coming up and it was in the evening, but we had to go out. So we put in all of our, they call them proxy bids ahead of time. So you bid your maximum and it just chips away at it. It's kind of like eBay, right? So we did that, and there was a whole bunch of stuff there. When we got home, we found all we got was this wire brush for $5. And we had to drive to the auction house just to pick up this one thing. Lucky for us, it was one that was very close to home, so it wasn't that really much of a big deal. And Home Depot was right across the road, so we went in and wandered around in there for half an hour after. But yeah, that's just a little bit of a, you know, you got to pay attention to what you're doing with these auctions, or you could end up having to drive a long way to get something really cheap. I think in that case, sometimes people just leave the stuff there, right? But anyway, it is what it is. Here's a box of crap I got at the auction. It just said box of wire wheels and sandpaper, and it was like a couple of bucks. So we're going to get this out and kind of spread it around and see what the heck we've got here. Sure, that's a pretty good load of junk for a couple of bucks. That's a guide for a jigsaw. And then we've got all this sandpaper. Look at all the little wire brush. These are just the little ones that go in a drill. But you know what? Sometimes they're handy. I got a grinding disc. All good stuff. This stuff will all get used up around here. Here's a whole box of automotive literature that, again, I got for a couple of bucks, right? We'll go through it, see if there's anything good that we want to keep. Otherwise, we'll just redistribute this to people that can use it. Like, look at this. Canadian Safe Service Data Book, 1951. Wow, they used to put these out every year, and a mechanic would have this in his toolbox, And it was just a quick reference guide for pretty much every single car that was on the road. Tune-up specs, engine wear limits, and stuff like that would be in these books. And all mechanics swore by these. So we've got 55 and 51. They're kind of neat. I've got a whole collection of these things somewhere. Here's another great book, Carter, Tune-Up and Carburetor Instructions. And it's, you can see here, 1944. That's really cool. Pretty neat. Here's a cool one, Popular Mechanics, 1964. Yeah, I can't wait to read that. And there's other stuff like this, like a 1979 Motorcraft battery catalog. Like, really? I don't think I really need that. Commercial Ignition, made in England for English and foreign cars. Oh boy. You can replace all your Lucas parts with stuff that's probably even worse. Yee. 1973 Motorcraft and Autolite. Okay, I've got a bunch of old Fords, so I think we're going to keep that. Lemco automatic transmission replacement parts. Wonder what year this is. 1957. Oh yeah, there won't be anything even remotely related to any automatic transmission I own in there. Montreal Oxygen. I don't know what that is. 75 Motorcraft, 76 Motorcraft. We'll hang on to those for now. There's a page out of an old 1949. This is a manual supplement for 49 Ford and Meteor passenger cars. Isn't that neat? All right, I'm going to go through the rest of this stuff, and if I find anything interesting, I'll show it to you. Here you go, right from the Sears and Roebuck Company. Electric wiring for home and farm. I bet you every single thing in this book is against the code now. 1953. I will hang on to that anyway. Taco Master shallow well pressure pumping system. Okay, that's for people on a well like me. Here's an old Schofield patch panel book. Look at that. It's got all the panels for all the different cars. My dad probably sold piles of this stuff at his store in the 60s. Yeah, that's cool. I got to show that to him. So that's what I decided to keep. I really like this ad for red stripe Uniroyal Tiger Paw tires. That's pretty neat. It's from the 60s. I got a glass catalog. Just handy if you need a piece of glass and you say, well, what else fits this thing, you know? Good to know. So here's some more auction stuff. What do we got here? Oh yeah, I got some Sawzall blades and some drill bits for cheap. I got all this stuff, I think, for $4. Stuff we go through these blades like crazy, and drill bits, we're always looking for drill bits. I'll probably just throw the case away and sort through the drill bits and put them into circulation. This lot was $10, and what I was after in this lot was these cement tools here. Trowels and an edger and a joint maker, right? I got my little cement mixer, but I didn't have any of this stuff. So now we can go ahead and do cement work. Plus there's a few other tiling and miscellaneous tools here. Let's see what all this crap is. We got this for a couple of bucks because Deb needed these hanging folders for our filing cabinet. So let's see what else we got in here. Well, that's not bad for what we paid. There's a full thing of HP legal size paper, printer paper, a sketch pad. No original artworks in it though, disappointing. All these file folders, all these hanging folders, some odd size paper, and this is like a heavy paper. And we got a nice picture frame with horses on it. Here's a cool thing we got at the auction. I have been looking for one of these for quite some time. It is a low profile 2-ton. I think it's a 2-ton. Yeah, 2-ton bottle jack, but the low profile. They're usually about this tall. And sometimes you need this low guy to get you started, you know. This will be perfect. We will use that around here. These are pretty cool. I got a couple of these. We go through them around here. 8,500 RPM. 5/8 thread. These go on your angle grinder. These are great for doing rust cleanup, paint removal, stuff like that. Got them at the auction. I think I got the pair of them for $6. Couple of slow moving signs for the tractors. Not the prettiest thing, but you have to have them to be legal, so I'm always looking for them. There's enough equipment around here that needs them on it. This here I got for $2. Did I get a deal or not? I don't know. This is a jig for, I don't know, West lock for boring out doors or something for putting in locks. I'll see if we can use it around here. If not, well, I'll just send it back. No big deal, eh? And on the, I guess, the subject, keep your eyes open, dummy. I went to the dump the other day to drop off some hazardous household waste. So that's, you know, old paint, old chemicals, dirty motor oil, stuff like that. And they've got a big table there. You put it all on. And I have to admit that I may look at some of the other stuff that other people have put on the table. And what do you know? 2 brand new things sealed of MotoMaster Premium Gas Line Antifreeze. Well, that'll get used up around here. I can promise you that. Well, that was a pretty good load of show and tell stuff, eh? It's fall, so the auctions, you know, fall auctions are pretty popular. So we've been hitting a lot of them and getting some goodies here and there. Anyway, I'm going to let you go now. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Hope you'll come back and see us again. And until then, this is Kevin saying so long from the Claremont Classic Garage.